Uh, Bonjour, everybody. Pinigaywas, the one that came in to listen for tonight. I just want to start off by saying that I was on that radio Wawate radio program coming out of Thunder Bay. Today it was from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. They're having this they had this fundraiser on for the program to keep running at Wawate Radio and News, and it's out of Sulakaut, this Wawate radio program, and they're just raising money, I guess, to keep going. So I had a program slated for 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and of course I was going to talk about the language and the stuff that we're doing here, and I talked about that. And then, about an hour before the program was going to start for me to go on, I got an email from the people running that Wawate thing, saying that I was cut from 5 o'clock to 5:30. So I didn't really have the time to say what I wanted to say. So they shut me off from 5:30 to 6 o'clock because they had a special guest coming on. And that special guest was this Anishinaabe Elvis. So Elvis cut me off for a half hour. Yeah, I was just telling Jamie Lee about that. And I said, that damn Elvis. But he was this Anishinaabe guy that does all this, that does all these Elvis songs and stuff like that. So, but I happened to mention our program anyway, so that's good. And mostly talked about Akiwenze, person as worthy as the earth, and talked about my book and how it came to be and all that. So, and basically said that we need more of this spoken language to be on air, for people to hear and see fluent speakers talk and teach the language, just like what we are doing here. So I thought that was helpful to give notice about what we're doing. So what I wanted to do tonight was storytelling, because one of the major activities that Anishinaabe did a long time ago was tell stories during this time. Manitokizsons, Little Spirit Moon, and also Manitokizis, Spirit Moon, and that'll be next month. And it was because people were in their wigwams way out in the bush, and in their territories, hunting and trapping, living off the land. And it was mostly the nuclear family. And, like 2 families, 3 families. And it's mostly, a mom and dad and their relations, like their brothers and sisters. So, and the cousins would be growing up together at this time and listening to these stories. And as villages would do this too, there really wasn't anything happening in the villages. So it was story time. And you must remember that we had great orators, great storytellers at that time. It was all in the language. Anishinnaabaymohwin. They used the language, and everybody listened to the language. And that is how the language expanded, was the storytellers would add new terms, new vocabulary, and make the stories fun to listen to, make them very lot of humor attached to it. And especially with us growing up, we heard about Weesahkayjaak, and that's who we're going to be talking about tonight. And further down south, they call him Nana Bush, Nana Bojo, and Gloskap is named. That's his name out in the East Coast. And so they're basically the same character, different names from different regions. And these stories, as we were growing up, taught us in the language the history, geography, animal terms and land terms, and doing all this that Weesahkayjaak was doing. And Weesahkayjaak is a trickster. And he came down from the spirit world to be with his grandmother, because his grandmother was a human, and she lived with the Anishinaabe here. And Weesahkayjaak wanted to live with his grandmother, and her name was Kohkohm. So Kohkohm was here, and they had great stories, many adventures together. And that this Weesahkayjaak was half human, half spirit, but he was mostly spirit. Took a form of human body to be with his grandmother, and to be and to join in with the life of the Anishinaabe, and join in with the ceremonies, and the songs and the dances and all that, and look after the animals and the plants, the water, the air. And he was the one responsible for naming all the animals. So there's a whole story about that, him doing that. And but he was lazy. He was always hungry because he didn't really like going hunting, and so he always wanted to trick the animals. And he loved to tease all the different animals, the way they looked, or the way they acted, or things like that. So Weesahkayjaak would tease the animals about that. But then the animals would always have do tricks on Nanabush also to get back at him. So and that's where we loved hearing those stories about Weesahkayjaak and all the stuff that he got himself into, and the lessons that he learned from his adventures, his mishaps, or whatever. And so what I want to do tonight is to give you two stories anyway. I will do them in Ojibwe first, and then see if you can pick up some of the words through my actions and facial expressions, voice, how I explain. And so this is how we would have learned the language, and how our parents taught us. All the Anishinaabe curriculum, I will say, through Weesahkayjaak. So storytelling is how we say it is Tahtihbahjihmohwin, Tahtihbahjihmohwin, and Tahtihbahjihmohwin is somebody telling a story. So Atsohkaynnihwinnun is our traditional stories, oral stories about Weesahkayjaak, the trickster, and his adventures here on Miskohtaysih Minis, Turtle Island. As I said, he's half human, half spirit. He came to live with the Anishinnaabe because his grandmother lived here, his Kohkohm. And he could turn himself into anything he wanted, but because he was so lazy, sometimes he forgot that he had these powers. So he could turn himself into animate or inanimate objects. And what he liked best was being an Anishinaabe. He was lazy, he loved to tease and make fun of everybody. He loved to laugh and tell and listen to stories. He was always hungry and looking for a good meal. The first story is called Weesahkayjaak Sheesheebuk. Ojibwe Weesahkayjaak. We one end of an Indim Gewisinish. Ataswitya Atas Ingajanitachaya. Ataswiti Wabman Spiming Pimisewach Sheesheebuk Atashkennikag. Inge Sheesheebuk quack get dog. Nikag taswiti Pimisewach Nikag. Shaawonnong Ishaa as in Kihkayndahsohwin Nikag in the tag was your gosh. We go Weesahkayjaak. We on one Sheesheebuk. That's right. How it get the wing it out there. And then he says, well, Bekabinama. I wait Netanganga, yeah. Minge Ogi Ujiton Kichiwachaigan. It wigwam Jenikate. Inge Utojton. tas Sheesheebuk nikkag Bihbooniwag Isagaygani Misaya Bihbooniwag tas Iawag wasnakay Sagaygani Nabiwag Sheesheebuk Niganiunne Gitto Anitutang Weesahkayjaak agaming Gittawag Kagittawag Sheesheebuk nikkag tas kay mang ja tas Kaniganich Gikta Anin lago Nigaganona Weesahkayjaak Gochma Anitutang Metigajina Tigajete Chigibig tas Weesahkayjaak Ogiwa mana Sheesheeba tas Kinendam Gawing ganawa masia Sheesheeba Nieno Kihkayndahsohwin tas ni Botawe tas Sheesheebuk Gitto Weesahkayjaak Anitutaman tas Weesahkayjaak Sheesheebuk puso Gitta Kihkayndahsohwin Goswinge Wetini giwa mag Sheesheebuk agaming Bihbooniwach tas Ginendam we ga magushe Michema tas ke Nigamwin we ga Nigiwashiton Gitta tas Bijayuk Tahtihbahjihmohwin Gitta tas Nigamwin Sheesheebuk Nigamwin Kaminigo Kaminen tas Gitta Weesahkayjaak tas Sheesheebuk Inibimati Kutagyak Sheesheebuk Kayawas tas Gitta Nanabos Gitta Kihkayndahsohwin Bijay Nigamwin Kaminigome Gitta Kaniganisa Sheesheebuk tas Winge Minendam wag Kutak Sheesheebuk tas agaming Shaawonnong danawa Weesahkayjaak Nigamwach matwe iganotaya tas Nigamwach Sheesheebuk Minapogosyo Minashinnawag Sheesheebuk Winge Minashinnawag he was singing that song and then Sheesheebuk Nondanawa Winge Minashinnawag and Ibimatigayo with the Chigabig with the Weesahkayjaak tas Weesahkayjaak Kamatwegech Nigamwach tas Gitta Migashagi Bijayeg Gitta Weesahkayjaak Pindigayok Kitche Wigwam Ganim Menig Gitta Winge Nigius Kitche Ishkote Yeton tas Pindigayok tas Ganigam Sheesheebuk Nigamwin tas Sheesheebuk Minendam wag Pindigayo Dus wedi Weesahkayjaak gyda. Mi wedi Kihkayndahsohwin ni miwin Isihjihgaywin Sheesheebuk. Dus Weesahkayjaak gyda. Kihkayndahsohwin. Dus wedi ni miwin gyda. Sheesheebuk Ugi no danawa Sheesheebuk is the house gyda. Mi wedi Anishinnaabaymohwin Weesahkayjaak ni gama. Winge, Sheesheebuk Minis, Sheesheebuk Minis. As again, Sheesheebuk. Dus Kihkayndahsohwin ni miwin. Inge. Min tagen we nigamoe. Dus wedi gawin we economics. Weesahkayjaak Gibsgwynan Tahtihbahjihmohwin. Dus wedi awasna kei. Ojibwe Sheesheebuk Gibsgwynan. Dus mi inge nigamo. Mi wedi dus nigamo. Dus mijn ogin en dan min ashinnaabaymohwin mai nendam. Mi dus uit de manganimus. Ogi bakken bezig oschkinisig. Mi dus gajiwab mats Weesahkayjaak Isihjihgaywin we Gibsgwynan Sheesheebuk. Dus mijn Ojibwe Lashketotan Weesahkayjaak nabiok. Dus Sheesheebuk Kihkayndahsohwin. Dus Kihkayndahsohwin. Mi wedi Kihkayndahmohwin. Wedi inge nimbo Sheesheebuk Kihkayndahsohwin. Dus wedi machi wat te watch wedi agochin. Inge wedi machi wat te watch. Dus wedi matchit mijn bemebato. Dus Weesahkayjaak mani boy basikanan uchiting mangon. Dus wedi mijn tegas Tahtihbahjihmoh. Kashpa Tahtihbahjihmoh. Mi wedi gawin vi kaminoa mangog Pimoseu gweti aking. Mi wedi bisakawa Weesahkayjaak bisik kagi disikonat. Wedi okatanuma atevani. Wedi Isihjihgaywin wedi niga wedi ik het nadien. Wedi awasna kei. Wedi kaji tegen wedi kaji tegen washkatin. Dus wedi gawin mang Kihkayndahsohwin. Dus wedi we permise. Atsohkaynnihwinnun ni Kihkayndahsohwin ni Tahtihbahjihmohwin. Atsohkaynnihwinnun Kawnika Manguk nta King Minoa. So that was the story of Weesahkayjaak and the ducks, Sheesheebuk. And the reason why I did this is to see if anybody understood or recognized some of the words that I said. So yeah, and I hope that people understood some of the stuff that I said through my actions. And basically, I'll tell you the story about was Weesahkayjaak, and some people call it the shut-eye dance and the duck dance. It was in the fall, all the birds and ducks and geese were migrating, and some of them had landed in this lake where Nanabush was. And Nanabush was really hungry. He was thinking about what was he going to eat, and then he saw these the ducks and the geese landing at the other side of the lake where he was. So he decided that he was going to trick all these ducks, and so he got busy making this huge wigwam at the beach where he was. Then after that, the ducks were talking amongst themselves and saying, what's Weesahkayjaak doing? He's doing something. So one of the lead ducks said, "Oh, I'll go and ask him, see what he's up to." So they go up, and the lead duck was the lead duck went up to Nanabush and said, Weesahkayjaak, and says, Weesahkayjaak, I need to him. I said, "What are you doing?" And Weesahkayjaak pretended not to hear him because he was really busy and fixing up the wigwam, making the fire. So, and then the lead duck asked him again what he was doing, and then Ambush said, "Oh, I'm making a huge wigwam on the fire because I want to do, I have this new duck dance, and I want to give it to you guys as a gift before you go down south." That was, he said that was in his intention. So he said to the duck, he says, invite the other ducks, during at night. And then so the duck went over and told the other ducks and the geese about it. And so the ducks were, happy that this was going to happen, that there was going to be this dance. And so when night came, Nanabush started singing the song, and then that song says, Sheesheebuk ducks, and he says, he says, they taste really good, and then he changed it to Anishinnaabaymohwin, to say that the ducks were, beautiful. So, and then that was the song that he started singing when it got dark, and the ducks heard it, and they got really, and they were, in the water listening to Weesahkayjaak, and they were going, and then they got closer. They were drawn in to the shore by the song. And then Nabor told them to come to the inside the tent because he had a nice big fire going, and he was going to give them a dance and a song. And then when all the ducks and the geese and the loons, they were all inside the tent, Weesahkayjaak said to them, he says, "This is called the shut-eye dance. So you have to shut all Kihkayndahsohwin." It says, "Close your eyes, don't open them." And then so yeah, it said, "This is a special song I made for you guys." He is telling them, and so so the ducks, they really liked the song and the way Weesahkayjaak was singing. So they agreed, and then they were dancing with their eyes closed, going around in a circle. And as they were doing this, Weesahkayjaak would grab one of them, snap the neck of the duck, and then throw him in the back of the wigwam. So I guess he did this for a while until the mang, which is the loon, got suspicious of this of what was happening. So he opened his eyes, back, and then the mang said to everybody, "Open your eyes, open your eyes." Weesahkayjaak in Isihjihgaywin says, Weesahkayjaak is killing us. So everybody opened their eyes, and Weesahkayjaak had this one duck, and he was just about to snap the neck of the duck. And then everybody took off, running out of the wigwam. And the loon was the last one, because he was way in the back there. And the loon was the last one to leave. And as he was leaving, Weesahkayjaak kicked him so hard from in his behind, and that the loon tumbled into the sand. And then after that, Weesahkayjaak that kicked him so hard that his legs had moved to the back, to almost to the tail feathers of the loon. And then the loon found out that didn't have the ability to walk on the ground anymore. So he got into the water and took off. So and that is why to this day all the loons can't walk on the land because their feet are too far back. So that was one of the stories about Weesahkayjaak. Yeah, got mixed up sometimes with Nanabush, but it's you can also use Nanabush with that. But that is one of the stories about Weesahkayjaak. And that was an observation that Anishinaabe had observed and made that into a teaching with Weesahkayjaak. So and this is what we would grow up how we grew up with that, with Weesahkayjaak. I hope you understood some of the stories that I said in Ojibwe. And then I'm going to say, I'll do one more. And this one here is Weesahkayjaak Ishaa Shaawonnong. Weesahkayjaak goes down south for the winter. Now, Weesahkayjaak Shaawonnong is the word for south, and that has something to do with warm winds, where the warm winds are, where warmth is, with Shaawon. And another meaning for Shaawon is light rain. That misty rain. So that's Shaawonnong from down south. Okay. This is the time that when Weesahkayjaak Ishaa Shaawonnong Aja Weesahkayjaak Mimboy. Wingasha Nitakaya Minoa. Aja Sheesheebuk Misewag, with the Shaawonnong Jaawag. Weesahkayjaak Retinaabe. Tahtihbahjihmohwin. Jaawach. Tash Ojibwe Weesahkayjaak. Anishinnaabaymohwin Yottinan Sheesheebuk Epimisewach. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Oginondawa. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Gaji Bogitaabihkinigit Gaji Bonich Weesahkayjaak Aniboch. Tash Kihkayndahsohwin. Kihkayndahsohwin Weesahkayjaak. Weesahkayjaak. Hadijayik Weesahkayjaak. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Kihkayndahsohwin. Shaawonnong Jamin Ingesha Ajauma Nitakaya. Ingewete Kijwaya Wete Kita Nika. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Weesahkayjaak Kita. Kihkayndahsohwin. Wete Kihkayndahsohwin. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Kitchenika. Wekita. Hausa. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Naganwe. Wete Epimiseying. Kawinabihken Wete Naming Wete Isihjihgaywin Naganwe. Weesahkayjaak. Weesahkayjaak. Wingewija. How? Kita Kawinga Nabisi and Gay Nabisi. With Gabim saying, how does Kitchenika? How with the Bimisang Gagin it? How does Gaja Nibimisewach Nikag Tashke Weesahkayjaak Bimise Tashka Gawin Nami Gangina Visi. Kinabe. Wetiga Uganawa Manan Agatutamwasrete Nigani Nikag. Wetiga Isihjihgaywin. Tahtihbahjihmohwin Ponyog Shaawonnong. Inge Uminoendan Weesahkayjaak Kihkayndahsohwin gawin kawitchisi. Dus weet je, ze kiesje as en wikiwe Weesahkayjaak. Dus weet beginnen ik kan en een beetje Ojibwe dus kito nika Kawin mashe nini kenda anin maya weet je Ojibwe no pimin dus Weesahkayjaak hier zijn dabwes inge kije ten dabwes kita dus weet je kita ag nikag gawin kenda kinebigayat ukhatan ingewete batten wage wi amot nikad mi tik gakituts Weesahkayjaak gawin nizegis kinebigog ukhatan gayawat kito. Dus weet je, bezig gijigan kitsenika kito. Giwewin zo weet je minoa anizigon nok min. Inge Weesahkayjaak minoinda. Say kita. Pangaji bimise was minoa. Aja weet je ononda Anishinnaabaymohwin Weesahkayjaak eni bimosech bimise inge itas weet je ginonda wanawa weet je nisei bimisech Weesahkayjaak ginonda Anishinnaabaymohwin pigagach. Weesahkayjaak Weesahkayjaak de kitog. Amiutigag Ishaa kitog. Oite Shaawonnong ni bigiwe kitog. Weesahkayjaak dus inge giminoita Weesahkayjaak Anishinnaabaymohwin nisei dus gajuanihkids iwete gagiktuts nigan nikan we nikagagiktuts kego inavikan nisei dus Weesahkayjaak bimisech nondoat Anishinnaabaymohwin met nisei. Dus weet je kajinabits weet je nisei. Dus weet je bangish. Bimisech inabits pagaji bangish. Weet je mitigodoki. Mitigi Isihjihgaywin. Dus weet je gagi pizendang Weesahkayjaak gagi pangishing. Okay. In this, I hope you understood some of the words. In the story I'm telling was about Weesahkayjaak going down south because it was in the autumn again, and he saw all these ducks and geese going down south. So he was wondering, where they went for the winter. So he called to a flock of geese that was flying by and said, where are you going? And so the lead goose came down and asked Ambush, what he was asking, and Ambush says, "I'm wondering why you guys, where you guys go." And so the lead Nika explains, says, "Oh, we go down south because that's where it's warm, and we go to Shaawonnong. We go down south." And Nanabush said, Kihkayndahsohwin says, "Can I come too?" So the lead Nika said, yeah, you can come with us. But there's one thing that you need to do. He says, you have to follow my instructions. He says, when you're flying, no matter what's happening when you're up in the air, no matter what you hear from the bottom, it says that below us, says don't listen. It says just keep flying and look straight ahead. And then I said, yeah, I could do that. So he joined the flock of geese because he changed himself into a geese, and then so he was able to go down south, and he really liked it when he first got there. He really liked it. And then after a couple of months, he started complaining that it was too hot. He was sweating all the time, and that he was afraid of those alligators down there, because the alligators eat the geese, and he didn't want to be eaten by an alligator. And the alligator is what we say is Kihkayndahsohwin. And we describe it as a snake with legs. That's how we describe an alligator. So Ambush was really worried about his life, and he wanted to get back home. So he kept asking about when they were going to go home. So then one day it was the leader of the geese there. He says it's time to go home. It's time to go up north again, because it's starting to get be spring up there. So they started migrating up north again, and as as they were approaching the far north there, the Anishinnaabaymohwin recognized Nanabush as he was flying with the geese, and they kept saying, "Oh, there's Nanabush." No, Weesahkayjaak. Down here they say Nanabush. So there's Weesahkayjaak. We're wondering where he went for the winter. And it says that, and he went, and so we didn't know that he went down south with the geese. So when Weesahkayjaak heard his name by the Anishinaabe, and he was really happy to return to the Anishinaabe as he was flying. That's when he looked down, because he heard his name being called. And so he looked down, and then after that, the spell broke, I guess, that was given for him to fly with the geese. And he came tumbling down out of the air and landed on the trees and the branches to break his fall. And that was that's one of the stories that we grew up with. And you must remember that in this all different storytellers that we had would have different spins to the stories and to make them funny and to add you know funny stuff that Nanabush or Weesahkayjaak do, what he did. And I got mixed up with Nanabush and Weesahkayjaak because down south here, I would tell my students about the stories about Nanabush because that's what they grew up hearing about Nanabush down here. And a long time ago, the people down here told stories about Nanabush. But where I'm from, way up north, we had Weesahkayjaak. So that's how I got a little mixed up there with Nanabush and Weesahkayjaak. But yeah, I would tell these stories to my students in the classroom. And I would get them to draw pictures of, Nanabush and his adventures after I told them the stories. And I remember meeting some of my former students, 10 years after I taught them at the school. And of course, by that time, they'd been out of school for a while. That started a family of their own. And I would run into them in shopping malls, and then I would talk to them. And then I would say, we talked about, the school and my teaching the language and stuff like that there. And one of the things I would ask them was, what was the thing that you remember from me teaching the language? And that is what all of them would say was, your stories. You would the stories that you told from about what you were taught. So yeah, they remember the stories. And they also remember, some of them also said that they remembered all the times that I took them for nature walks out into the bush and tell them about animals, plants, and things like that. So those were the things that they remembered as they were going to school, me teaching them. So that was even, I think it was, kindergarten class, senior kindergarten or grade 1. It was in the fall. I took them out for a nature walk in Tahtihbahjihmohwin, so it was in the fall, and the leaves had already fallen, and it was getting a little cold, and it was the deer Weesahkayjaak was they're having there as a mating season, the rutting season for the deer Weesahkayjaak. And so I was up front and had the class behind me, and up ahead I saw the deer markings of a deer fighting a little sapling. And so all of that, the bark was off. So I said to the kids, he says, we're going to come up onto a little tree, and it's got the bark off, says being ripped off, and I want you to tell me after you see it, who did this. So I walked past it, and the kids walked past it and looked at it, and then so I asked them. They said, "Who did this to that little sapling, that little tree, that little mitig?" And I didn't know what it was. And then so we started walking again, and I could hear one of the kids behind me say to his friend, the little kid says, "I think it was Nanabush that did that," he says. And then the other kid says, "Who's Nanabush?" And then the other kid says, "Oh, Mr. Baxter." So that was one of the little outings at that time. So those were the things that I taught my classes as we were learning the language. But and that's and that was my downfall, was with those kids. I would spend an hour, doing lesson plans, using the language, for me to teach them, and I would have all these worksheets to give them, and it was the grade 6, 7, and 8 that I had all this work for. So I would give them the Anishinaabe words. Then I would give them, after that, I would give them worksheets for them to work on with Anishinaabe words. But after I handed out the work, one of the girls would say, "Hey, Mr. Baxter, tell us a story." So of course I would tell them a story, and that was the end of my my language lesson. So yeah, it was fun. I had a good time with teaching the kids with the language. And some of them actually became second language teachers, and they went on their own. And after high school, they had, because I only had them from JK to grade 8. Then after that, they went to high school and had some language programs in high school. And then some of them went to college, university, picked up the language there, and then some of them went to these immersion classes, immersion programs, and during the summertime to learn the language, and then they came back and are now teaching the language to the community. So and I was glad that they're able to do that, and I'm hoping that more people would do these immersion classes that are out there. So, and that was yeah, it was a good time telling the stories, and also with the language. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the little stories. and picked up some words anyway, and that you guys would get to know more from your teachers, from your fluent speakers, and from wherever you're getting your language lessons from. And that this helps a bit anyway. And so I think next week I want to go into a little bit into winter activities maybe. And Anishinnaabaymohwin miigwech. This is from the Brad guy. Miigwech Brad guy. Pangieta Ogi Nistotan. That means he understood a little bit of that. And one of the things that I want to do is try and get the language more out into the social media. As I've said before, we're already on TikTok. And so some mentioned that when I re-watch on YouTube, I'll understand more next time around. Yeah, it's most of you will hopefully when you watch it, you can pick up more of the words because this is how a storyteller would talk and present the stories, and it's really it was amazing, the reaction of people when they hear Anishinaabe stories being told, especially if there's a whole bunch of us telling a story, and the humor, the laughter that comes out of a bunch of people talking with other speakers. And this is what I would like to present even more later on, as we get this language program to develop it more, so that people will get to understand some of it anyway. So that would be, Jamie just wrote down the TikTok link. So Jamie for doing that. Get more people to listen to a fluent speaker.
Yeah, great stories tonight, Eli Miigwech. It was really fun to listen and to see the whole story in the language. It was very cool.
Oh, okay. Miigwech, Leanne. I hope you enjoyed the stories and the language. Kigawabamin minawa. Brad guy, mina pigawabamin. Miigwech Isihjihgaywin. Thank you for all of you guys coming here. Kurt, they were great. Miigwech. Miigwech Kurt Minoa Pigawabamin. I'll see you later.